House hacking is one of the best ways to get started in real estate. It's a low money down approach to purchasing a deal and having roommates pay towards your mortgage. I've done three house hacks, but it hasn't always been so simple. Figuring out how to analyze a deal was at times confusing and tedious. That's why I created a house hacking calculator to help you automatically evaluate deals. It analyzes location, rent, and property estimates to help you make the best offer. In this video, you'll learn how to analyze a house hacking deal manually as well as automatically. My name is Ariel Herrera, your fellow data scientist with a tech and real estate channel where we bridge the gap between real estate and technology. If you want to see more tutorials on how to analyze deals, please like this video so I know to make more content like it. All right, let's get started. In this video, I'm going to go over two different approaches to be able to analyze a house hacking deal. First, being able to utilize resources like Zillow, HUD, as well as Excel spreadsheet to analyze a deal. And then second, using a more automatic approach using coffee closers. So here we're looking at Zillow and we're looking at Newark, New Jersey, which is a city outside of Manhattan. As we could see here, zooming out, Manhattan is over here. On the left-hand side is New Jersey, and one of the major cities is Newark. It has its own international airport, major employers like Prudential, as well it has a transit line. Now, Newark has been deemed to be up and coming for quite a while now, still waiting on that piece to happen. However, we've seen a lot of rents become pushed up in areas like Jersey City and Hoboken, right outside of Manhattan. Because a lot of people say who are professionals commuting in, maybe new college grads, can't afford 4 grand and up for rent in Manhattan, so they live in these outside areas. Now, because these outside areas have become pretty expensive as well, we've seen more and more people live in this area called Harrison, New Jersey, which is right outside of Newark. It has a bunch of new apartment complexes over the last several years. So there could be an anticipation of this migration trend moving towards inland of New Jersey for Newark to become maybe once more a hot spot for people to live in. So say if you're looking to house hack, this is one of the strategies you should take is try to understand your local area and determine where are people moving to and where are maybe rents rising and where people will try to go outside of that. So here we're looking at Newark, New Jersey, and I'm filtering down on single family homes. So let's imagine that we're looking to house hack our first property and maybe we're using an FHA loan. An FHA loan lets you put as little as 3.5% down if you're owner occupying the property. So if you're living in it as well to make it more affordable, it's a government loan. So here, if we look at FHA, and here I'm selecting New Jersey, we could see for Newark under Union County, the limit for a FHA loan is 1.1 million about, which is pretty high. So if we set this now to 1.1 million, we could see all the properties that are single family that would meet the requirement of FHA guidelines. Next, we could start to browse through these properties. Newark is a fair size, so maybe we know some information and we know we want to invest maybe in the northern part of Newark. We could then zoom in a bit more and start to observe properties in this area. Here we have a property in Newark that's been on the market for about 11 days now. So how do we actually analyze it? Well, I have a free spreadsheet that you could download below, which allows you to plug in numbers into a spreadsheet and also has its own rehab estimate too. Now, it's mostly for single family properties or multifamily. So it's a little bit tricky when we start to look at house hacking because you may take a strategy of renting by the bedroom. So in this case, it's a 3 bedroom. So maybe you live in one and then you rent out the other two, possibly to maybe previous college roommates you've had, relatives, or someone that you see online. Now, how do you actually know what the property is going to rent for? Because you need to know your expenses as well as your income. And if we go back to expenses and we just quickly go down to Zillow's calculator here, we could start to assume what the monthly mortgage payment would be. We could also adjust this based on how much down payment we're putting down. So in this case, if we're doing 3.5, we could see how the monthly estimate would go up. So we have maybe an assumption of how much we're going to pay. So Zillow also has a free tool that allows you to look at different market trends for rent by city as well as by zip code. So here I'm looking at Newark, New Jersey. And if I'm going to rent out these bedrooms, I want to look at one bed. But as we could see here, there's not that much information in terms of the number of properties that are available for us to assess. So actually, if we go over to the zip code specifically and we look at one bedroom and we go down to houses, there's actually no data available. So what do we do if there's no data for us to base our assumed rent for? Well, we could also use a government site, which is the fair market rents, and they accumulate this data by studio all the way to 4 bedroom of what the estimated rent is across zip codes. So if we try to pull this information, I tried to use Gemini, which is an LLM, and asked it if it could pull this information. But because it's in a spreadsheet and not just publicly available on their website, I wasn't able to pull it. So instead, I downloaded that sheet and I came here to Google Sheets, opened it up, and when I found the zip code, I could see here what a studio goes for as well as a 1 bedroom. Now, although a 1 bedroom, it says for the zip code, goes for $1,300, remember, if you're renting by the bedroom, you can't charge someone that amount. You're sharing a bathroom, you're sharing a kitchen, and you're likely sharing parking. So, with those factors, maybe you're renting by the bedroom at about 75% to 80% instead. So we need to take that into account. And let's imagine that 1,000 is going to be the right number for us to rent this property. So if we look back over here, our monthly mortgage would be about 3,100, renting out 2 bedrooms for 1,000, 2,000. That means out of pocket, I'd be paying about $1,200 a month to cover the mortgage, which is a savings. I'll have my expenses covered by around 2/3, which is really good because I'm getting 2/3 of my mortgage paid by having tenants live with me and be able to save for the next property even faster. So when I started analyzing my own house hack deals, and I put to the number how long it was taking me for me to analyze each deal and evaluated, wow, it's eating up a lot of my free time. This is when I started to explore using tools as well as developing my own. So here I'm going to show you how to automatically evaluate house hacks using coffee closers. So it's pretty straightforward. You can get started for 7-day free trial, and we have 50 major markets across the United States that you can explore during that time. One of them being Newark, New Jersey, which you could find right here. Then, once you get to Newark, New Jersey, you'll be able to open up the property listings. And here we have a very similar view to what you may be used to on other platforms. So, on one side, we have property listings, and the other, we have a neighborhood map. You may be thinking, what is a neighborhood map? There's a lot of factors that go into whether an area is luxury or one that may need revitalization. And based upon your strategy in house hacking, or even your strategy in general for real estate, you may want to hone in on certain areas. So, for example, when I was initially house hacking, I looked for C plus and B minus areas. Reason is that I like to hold my properties for a long period of time. So, I was looking for areas that were growing and I can hold for 10 years, for example, be able to see large gains in appreciation, and then make a great return on investment because of that. So here, let's imagine that we want to focus in on this B minus C plus area in Newark, which is pretty close to that area Harrison that I mentioned previously, which has a lot of young professionals. Here, if we were to click on, say, one of these tracks, we can get information on the area. And this is going to be pretty standard across all of Newark, where we see a lot of the economics below the state average. So, for example, median household income is about 45,000, which is about 50% less than the state average. Now, the thing about economic data that comes from the US Census, it's super useful, but no, it is typically outdated by 2 to 3 years. And living in an era now where a lot of people work remotely and are open to moving pretty frequently, this can be stale information that doesn't allow us to really capture how a neighborhood is today. So that's why we also look at market data stats as well as places that have opened nearby to the area. Now, let's go over to house hacking to actually look at deals that will work for us. So if we click house hacking, it's recalculating all of the listings across the city. So we're looking at FHA loan limits to see which properties do fit underneath the FHA loan, since that would be more preferred for a low down payment. We also are recalculating rents, not just by traditional, but also looking at, say, rent by the bedroom if you're going single family wise, or rent by the unit if you're looking at a multifamily property. So in this example, I'm going to click on one of these properties here. We could see this property is a 4-bed, 2-bath, about 1,200 square feet in Newark, New Jersey. Now, if you were to look at this listing on Zillow, you'll see that this information is missing, which is typical for this area. That's why our algorithm pulls from multiple different sources so that we can fill in any missing information as well as use AI to make best guesses if it's missing across all of our data sources. Now, we have here on the right-hand side different strategies. So in real estate, it's really important to not just understand your lending of how you're going to acquire money for your deal, but also what strategy are you going to use for your deal? Are you going to have a long-term rental for 12 months? Are you going to do a house hack or maybe something in between? In addition, it's good to have a strategy of location of what your risk tolerance is too. So here we see rent is split up by the bedroom, and similar to what we saw previously for HUD, about a percentage difference from what that value is, since you'll be sharing a kitchen, a bathroom, and we've estimated rents here to be about 1,000 per bedroom. So we could see in this example, there's 4 bedrooms. We'd be living in one of them, so we can't charge rent in that one. And so the others, total rent would be $3,000. Based on this, we can actually quickly recalculate and see not just cash on cash return, but how much out of pocket are we paying? And in this case, we're actually making about $100. However, we automatically put traditional down payment 20%. So if we go down to purchase, we could change this to FHA limits 3.5%. And we could see 90% of our expenses would be covered in this deal if we're renting by the bedroom. And this is the real power of house hacking because you're able to save so much more for your next deal. And generally, you're at a pretty low risk of getting started. What if you wanted to make sure that all your deals look at 3.5% down? You could do that as well using financial preferences in your dashboard. You could also set up your buy box to look at specific neighborhoods, property types, and other filters as well. And if you're a big data geek like me, you just may want to see everything in a spreadsheet, and that's okay. We actually allow you to download everything into a spreadsheet. It has all the cash on cash return metrics and more, and even the formula so you could tinker around with them. Please leave a comment below if you've done house hacking before or you're looking for your first house hack and what city do you want to be in. I'd love to do more videos like this, but want to know if it's useful for you, so please leave a comment as well, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.